going on, you guys? I'm your host, Stacy Cole Morgan, and you are listening to the Morgan Man Sports Podcast here on Spotify, Google Podcasts, GoodPod HQ, or wherever you find your preferred podcast. Ladies and gentlemen, today we are talking about the final online qualifiers weekend of the entire Call of Duty League season of this Major 4 online tournament. Everything that is in between is happening this weekend. So without any further delay, let's go to get straight into today's action.
The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Welcome to the Morgan Man Sports Podcast. I'm your host, Stacy Cole Morgan. Here on the Morgan Man Sports Podcast, we talk Atlanta Falcons news, pre-game predictions, and all other news surrounding the Atlanta Falcons.
Touchdown, Atlanta!
Also on the podcast, we talk Call of Duty League, esports, covering Roster Mania, major predictions, CoD Champs, player trades, and much more to get you ready for every single CDL weekend.
Scuff goes through, and Scuff snaps, wins the one-on-one, and Optic with the reverse sweep.
If that sounds good with you, put on your Falcons jersey, grab your gaming headset, and let's get this show started. Alright guys, so we are talking about the final weekend of the online qualifiers for the Major 4 tournament, and just in general, the final online qualifiers of this regular season to end the Call of Duty League 2024 season as we ramp things up for CoD Champs and Black Ops 6 here in the near future. So as always, we start off with CDL point standings, and for right now in the regular season, the Atlanta Faze, as quite no surprise here, is sitting at number 1 with 475 CDL points with a 33-6 map win-loss ratio of 84.62. And as always, this does follow in order right here. Next is Toronto Ultra with 430 CDL points, 30-9. Optic Texas, 415, 29-13. New York Subliners, 295, 24-14. Miami Heretics, 160, 15-19. Seattle Surge, 160, 14-21. Los Angeles Thieves, 145, 14-18. And finally, the Vegas Legion at 140, 13-19. For your playoff qualification cutoff, the Carolina Royal Ravens, Los Angeles Guerrillas, and Minnesota Rocker are all sitting at 140 CDL points, while the Boston Breach is dead last at 50 still. So obviously no surprise right there. I do like now that there is a distinct battle between 5 and 6 and 7 and 8. Now, the 8th spot could be a coin flip. I think Los Angeles is pretty much guaranteed ourselves that number 7 spot going into CoD Champs, but it just would be heavily reliant on their ability to win out this weekend in the Major 4 tournament itself in Los Angeles. So you definitely got to, if you're Los Angeles, step your game up this weekend because you got a lot of tough matches ahead of you. And that goes the same for the Vegas Legion. Yes, you just made the qualification sitting at the 8th overall spot, but you got the Ravens who are hot on land. You got the Guerrillas who sometimes can surprise people alongside the Minnesota Rocker. Boston Breach is definitely no worries. I would not worry about them whatsoever. But I would like to see them win some money this season. Hopefully at the Major 4. Of all teams, that would be the most just unexpected U-turn of all of sporting history. A team that only has 50 CDL points wins the Major 4 tournament. That would be the most absurd thing in all sports history, not just esports, but in all sports history right there. I do like it right there, but of course we all know it's not going to happen. The Boston Breach might as well go ahead and start preparing of who they're going to look for in the 2025 Call of Duty League season with Black Ops 6. So like I said, Miami Heretics and Seattle Surge, that is distinct a distinct battle right there, 5th and 6th place, and of course 7th and 8th. But again, you got 9, 10, and 11 trying to get their way into CoD Champs, and Vegas Legion right now does stand in the way. So moving on over to the weekend schedule right here, ladies and gentlemen. Again, the final weekend of all online qualifiers for this major tournament and all of the regular season of the Call of Duty League. So Friday, June 21st, you got the Miami Heretics taking on the Seattle Surge. So definitely we got our 5th and 6th battle right there going on. That's going to determine who's going to take that 5th overall spot and who's going to hold that 6th overall spot to start things off. Then next up, you got the Atlanta Faze taking on the Toronto Ultra. That's definitely going to be a matchup to look forward to. I think pretty much Faze has got that number 1 spot locked down right now. But who knows? Toronto Ultra could go on a win spree this weekend and throughout the entire Major 4 tournament next weekend and totally decimate the game and take the first spot. The Vegas Legion will end things off on Friday, June 21st against the Los Angeles Thieves. So then there again, you got this 7th and 8th overall spots battling it out. And if you're Vegas, you need to win this. You really do. So that way you can move yourself above and beyond all the other teams and, at least guarantee yourself that 7th spot. Yes, you might start at a lower bracket, but hey, you're still making CoD Champs. Saturday, June 22nd, you got the Atlanta Faze taking on the Miami Heretics to kick things off at 3 p.m. Eastern. Definitely, I like Atlanta Faze over the Heretics in a 3-1. Los Angeles Gorillas taking on the Seattle Surge. Gorillas definitely need some points, but guys, I just don't think it's going to come in the form with Seattle Surge, because Seattle Surge is still on fire right now. They're winning a lot more matches than what they did at the beginning of the season. And that's great because right now is the time you need to start winning. Second to last match is Optic Texas taking on the Boston Breach. Obviously, this is going to be a clean 3-0 for Optic. But hey, who knows? Now with the recent, I would say championship hangover during the Major 3, you could might as well say that Boston Breach definitely has a shot to beat Optic Texas, which would be so freaking hilarious for the Boston Breach to take down the Major 3 champions. It would just be something, and they start getting some points on the board. Oh man, that would be so funny. To end things on Saturday, June 22nd at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, you got the Las Vegas Legion taking on the Minnesota Rocker. Again, this is another distinct possibility for the Vegas Legion to further themselves into that pool and be sitting a little bit more comfortable around the Major 4 tournament towards the end of the tournament, I should say. That way they know they lock in their CoD Champ spot. And to kick things off on Sunday, June 23rd, you got the Optic Texas squad taking on Toronto Ultra. I like Toronto over Optic right here. So Optic, their best bet is honestly going to be going 1-2 this weekend. Or excuse me, 1-1. I just don't see them really winning against Toronto, but of course against Boston, I do. The Carolina Royal Ravens is the second matchup on the list, going up against the Boston Breach. So the Boston Breach has got a lot of opportunities this weekend to gather up some CDL points, but the Carolina Royal Ravens is just a better team than Boston by a long shot. So I'm going to say it's a 3-1 in favor of Ravens. And finally, in the main event, Sunday, June 23rd at 6 p.m. Eastern, you got the Los Angeles Thieves taking on the New York Subliners. Thieves are in need of some points right now, ladies and gentlemen. But I think the Subliners, they figured out a rhythm to rely on. And I think they're going to stick with it and beat the Los Angeles Thieves in a 3-1 fashion. So that's your Major 4 online qualifiers right there, ladies and gentlemen. It's a lot of juicy matches happening this weekend. And again, remember the point standings. You got 5th, 6th battling now to begin the weekend off. Then you got 7th and 8th battling. Man, it's going to be epic this weekend. Actually, it's all happening Friday, 5 through 8, playing each other. And then, of course, Atlanta Faze that Saturday gets Toronto Ultra. Or no, I'm sorry, Friday at 4:30. Atlanta Faze gets Toronto, so that's 1 and 2 battling out right there. So there's a lot of matches and a lot of CDL points at stake right now as we speak for the Call of Duty League in the final week of online qualifiers. And of course, as always, you do earn CDL points during the Major 4 or any major tournament, not just in the online qualifier. So do keep that in mind, because these point standings will change at the Major 4 tournaments. So each match, I will do the best I can to kind of keep track of each and every single matchup and CDL point standings as we speak throughout the day. So definitely do keep an eye out on my Twitter at MMS Stacy Morgan, or X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, wherever I have my socials at. Do keep a check up on it, guys. You don't want to miss it. Now, guys, I would talk about some Atlanta Falcons stuff right now, but we're just kind of in dry season right now. There's really nothing happening outside of the Falcons really getting charged a 5th round pick and $250,000 for the tampering of the free agency market going in for Kirk Cousins and 2 other players. But really, other than that, there's really no other kind of like news outside of like some mandatory minicamp happening. And of course, training camp, your boy won't be able to go. Really, hardly no one will be able to go unless you're, of course, like, top-notch media like Fox 5 Atlanta, CBS, and of course, like NFL.com, of course. Because, where else would you get the coverage? But so it is a bummer, but hopefully next year, still with Belly Up Sports as always. But the guys at Belly Up will definitely hook me up and get me in that football facility to take some pictures, videos, whatever it is at the training camp facility next year. So shout out to Belly Up Sports, guys. They're definitely an amazing sports network, not just with your boy here, but so many other amazing, talented podcasters that are on the network. So definitely check them all out. But guys, I hope you did enjoy it. If you didn't, make sure to like button wherever you are listening from, iHeartRadio, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you find your preferred podcasts. But until then, I, Cole Morgan, will catch you all later. Peace.
Thank you for listening to this Belly Up Sports Podcast Network product. Some said we go belly up, so we made it our name, and we're still here.